What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid, more specifically some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off this upcoming week, it is going to be more of a technical driven week. The only two data points that are coming out that could potentially disrupt Lucid is CPI, and that's coming out on Wednesday, December the 11th, and then PPI on December the 12th. Nothing really crazy associated to Lucid. So they just have the Lucid Tour between December the 4th and the 8th. And then aside from that, just Gravity at the Brickell City Center between December the 5th and 17th. Most likely, I would at least place a bet the fact that Lucid would be doing some sort of podcast, especially to piggyback off of the Gravity unveiling and launch. So logically, Peter will be doing something of that fashion, so that isn't really disclosed, and nor have they typically ever disclosed that type of stuff, so we'll just have to wait and see and be pleasantly surprised. But this week is going to be more of a technical driven week. Nothing really crazy coming out from companies unveiling their earnings either, so it is going to be, like I said, just Lucid's technicals. And I don't want to jump up and down for joy just yet, but this is pretty much the most bullish Lucid has been in a very long time. So as of right now, it is above the ALMA. Still a pretty wide gap that it does need to fill, essentially. And one thing I have brought up is that $2.48, so the super trend kind of signal right here, whenever it does bounce or kind of trend above that and really break it, in theory, this is what causes algos to really start buying the stock. So once again, that is something that could be coming this week. We'll just have to wait and see. But moving over to options, there was a lot of bullish stuff that came out after my video. So in case you don't know, there was a lot of abnormal trading that's been happening, and is clearly not retail because each individual transaction is roughly 500,000. So it is big money becoming more and more bullish. And what did happen last week was they did sell $2 puts. So if you don't know options, highly suggest in researching them, but by selling a put generally is optimistic. And this right here, between it looks like 135 and 140, there was 5.9 million. You are seeing that right. That is insane. So that essentially was a multi-leg transaction, similar nature to what I just mentioned. So there was $4 sells for the puts and also $2.50. So extremely bullish for this upcoming week, or I guess essentially it's staggered. So one had an expiry date of January 2025. The second one is December 20th, 2024. And so going into this upcoming week, you do have a lot of optimism. Market makers also did do something very abnormal with Lucid that they haven't done in a very long time. If anything, it's actually been quite inverse, but they actually opened up the chains for it to be higher. So now you could potentially buy strike prices as high as $35, and it has not been opened up. Like, we haven't seen a $35 strike price since 2022. So that is a big deal. Of course, that might not come to fruition. Options is just merely a sentiment. It does not move the stock price, but market makers see it viable and a possibility for it to get to these levels. So once again, that is something just to keep in mind. But shorts on Friday, this has been the very first time in a very long time, I think almost like a week and a half, that they did return some shares. So 311,000 shares was returned, still kind of a drop in the bucket. 24.42% of the free float is being shorted, so that's what we're going into this upcoming week with. But 291.23 million shares overall are being shorted. So one thing to note, if you do want to wear a tinfoil hat and all that other stuff, GameStop does has their earnings after hours on Tuesday. Roaring Kitty did post something, very obviously hidden message kind of stuff and whatever, but a lot of people like to believe that if GameStop does have a crazy squeeze, that essentially a lot of other stocks that are heavily shorted, such as Lucid, could go up. And even Zach Morris, I think a lot of people are starting to really look at Lucid and their output, what they do produce, and just see the amount of shorts that are in it, and just obviously question it and call it a short squeeze. So in my opinion, yes, something could come from that. Going into this upcoming week, like I said, is primarily more of a technical driven week. So Lucid's technicals are looking fairly good. So I already did go over the actual chart, but if you're looking for some like good support levels in the short term, with it closing at $2.30 on Friday, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So essentially, once again, kind of showing more of a attempt at a breakout, because it was able to successfully get above this pivot point, which has been largely, it's been struggling with for the last like 2 weeks almost. But $2.17 will be a strong support that you'll want to watch for it to hold going into this upcoming week. And then $2.36, $2.47, and then $2.65 are going to be the next strong resistance / target points. Like I said, I don't want to really jump up and down with joy, but I am very cautiously optimistic about this upcoming week, especially based on the technicals, shorts returning. The options is definitely something that is very, very good. A lot of articles are coming out just about Lucid's options activity and trying to decode what that means, what big money is really doing behind the scenes and everything else. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Where do you see it going, for instance, for this upcoming week? Do you think that we're going to be breaking $3 or kind of the high twos? Or do you think we are just going to kind of pull down, and the last 2 or 3 trading days has just been more of a fugazi? So what's your overall viewpoint? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Pop over to my Patreon, where I've been giving buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers, and the ones that have already hit my targets, I just over the last couple of days have given updates on some of them. So pop over there, link in the description below and also the comments. And I will be back to my regular scheduled broadcasting, most likely on Monday, most likely. But my apologies on the audio. I know I've been getting a lot of comments. It's not the most ideal, but it is what I have to work with right now. So I did take a quick trip over to England, and so I'll be heading to London tomorrow and then heading back home. Back to hopefully better audio and all the other fun jazz. Hopefully everyone has a amazing and has been having an amazing weekend. And with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.